Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tim Richter, 51 South Street. I want to commend Hampshire Partners for looking at this thing in an entirely different way. That's a huge turnaround from, I guess, what seemed an insistent process that went on for 2 years. This is kind of the direction the town is going. I see that you took advantage of the opportunity of presenting something at an entryway into Morristown that is exciting and forward-thinking. I like the idea that you're trying to incorporate something that can generate economy in town. I still think there's opportunity somewhere down the road for more of that, light industry, et cetera. But I think this bends in the right direction. The green space, the you know, all these sorts of things. It's where things are going, and I think you captured that here. As far as the aesthetics and stuff, those are tweaks, et cetera, that you're going to be looking at. And I know that there was a great question about access to downtown from here in terms of walkways. But I think that you've come up with something that respects the town, but also captures what is possible for the town going forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barbara McNally, 13 Franklin Place. Thank you for looking at the design, and thank you to the Council and Planning Board for also looking at that. My question is, when you turn left, as you're facing Messler's, and you turn left, this is going to be a short distance before you have to turn right into their driveway. And as it is now, that intersection gets congested with people being able to turn right, left, and then moving over for 287. It just seems like there's going to be a bigger plan for traffic flow than just how many cars are going back and forth, but how many cars are entering and exiting and how they're going to enter and exit, impacting the other traffic.
Thank you.
This isn't mine. Pam has to go.
And state your name and address for the record, please.
Margaret Brady, 1 Franklin Place. This board was put together by Pam Hasagawa, and she took the renderings of the buildings that are on the website and took pictures of the actual houses that are in the neighborhood. So that you can see how the building looks compared to its residential neighbors. Now I'll try to read fast so I can get this done in 5 minutes. The practice of developing master plans and zoning ordinances began in the late 1920s, and Morristown was already well established as a center of government, transportation, and commerce, with an established network of roads leading in all directions from the center of town. It is also home to examples of architecture of many types, from small homes to prominent structures. Many of these buildings are also historic landmarks visited by tourists from all over the world each year, especially on Morris Street along the strip between Washington's headquarters and the Green. This requires planning that goes beyond current theory or latest trends. One trend, sustainability, has proven beneficial since it was practiced first by George Bale and his friends in 1844. Of course, when they practiced it, the town fathers thought they were going to put the town would lead to financial ruin. But today, some public officials have a difficulty, even today, public officials have difficulty understanding what creates ratables today might not necessarily prove beneficial in the future. Franklin Corners has 2 perfect examples of what can go wrong and what can go right. Our town hall is a perfect example of planning gone awry. This was a solid residential neighborhood when the town began having financial problems. The increasing cost of providing services for so many nonprofits like the county, the hospital, the churches, the schools, who were all expanding to serve an area far beyond Morristown, but taking property off the tax rolls in our tiny 2.9 square mile town. So in order to make up for that, the planners thought if Morristown encouraged corporations and offices to locate here, it would add to the tax base, and that would solve the shortfall. The companies paid more taxes, but forgotten was the added cost of providing even more services and providing the sewer and water capacity to serve the needs of all the expanded uses. When the beneficial finance decided they wanted to locate their new headquarters here, the planners were overjoyed. Having the new largest taxpayer in Morristown was considered a cause for celebration. The zoning was changed, variances were granted to enable them to build what is currently our town hall. And then the trend was to make Morristown, the colonial Morristown became our name, and we were trying to copy Williamsburg buildings, which this building was. But that was the style and the fashion at the time. Letters written about complaining about the negative impact of replacing homes with a parking lot were ignored. And not much was said when Beneficial was replaced by the Carteret Savings and Loan because they felt they were still paying taxes as a bank. When the bank failed and was taken over by the federal government, there were no more taxes, and Morristown decided it would make a good town hall, take it off the tax roll forever. So they had 30 years of having the highest taxpayer. Meanwhile, the potential of high-rise zoning caused residents to leave the neighborhood, and speculators anticipating the new high-rise zoning here purchased a majority of the homes in this whole area, anticipating future problems, future profits when the new zoning came in. Headquarters Plaza was finally developed to bring the town some financial stability again, but a major expansion of the sewer plant was required to supply the new demand, and that cost far exceeded the additional ratables that that whole project provided, and it never did become cost effective. In 1975, Franklin Corners decided their neighborhood was worth fighting for. They challenged a lawsuit by the Housing Authority, which was seeking to build a 6-story brick senior center in the middle of Franklin Place. It's now on Ann Street. The matter dragged on in the courts for several years until Franklin Corners received permission to intervene in the suit. They hired an attorney and a planner to represent them. And as evidence, they showed a picture of how Franklin Place would look if new construction was designed to blend in with the size and scale of the other structures on the street. The judge found in their favor, saying that the picture they provided was worth 1,000 words. The Franklin Corners condos were built as a result. The neighborhood remained residential, the pre-existing uses were permitted to continue, and the values continued to increase, resulting in a greater increase to the tax base that the planned beneficial project had done. I'm submitting a sketch.
One second, Marge. You're over your 5 minutes, so is there something else that you want to add before you just want to show us this? You want us to put this in the record?
I'm just going to pass around the sketch. This is the original drawing that was submitted to the court, pieced together from 40 years ago.
Okay, so we'll take that.
And then there's some pictures of the buildings that are on Pam's board, and I'll pass it around.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. evening. I'm Kristen Ace, 24 Franklin Street. I just want to say thank you for really listening to the residents. I think this is an exciting plan. I think you're right on about work and living. I love all the green that offsets the parking. I love all the trees. It's a phenomenal, exciting idea. I think it would be a wonderful gateway. My only concern is the aesthetics. It really does not fit with the neighborhood or with Morristown. That's my only concern. I think if you could soften and blend, as Marge was saying, it would be spectacular. Thank you.
All right, if there are no other members of the public wishing to be heard on this matter or any other matter at this time, I will close the public portion. Okay, so I'd just like to take a moment. I know council has comments and questions, but I know we heard a lot from the public tonight, and so I don't want to negate that they want their questions to be heard while we have the presenters here. So if you guys aren't opposed, I would give them a couple minutes to maybe address some of the concerns from the public before we hear from council members. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Those were all very thoughtful, good questions. I will say that with respect to traffic, although we have done a study, if this were to proceed to the site plan process, we would have experts in all of these disciplines who will report, will work with the town engineers and the town professionals to make sure that we're putting forward the project that is acceptable to the town and the town professionals. That being said, we have preliminarily looked at some of this. So we have Mr. Chris Richter here tonight. Who?
Well, what?
Yeah.
But just because what we should have done, or what you should have done, was had your traffic person present during your presentation. Now I'm just giving you an opportunity to respond to the public comment.
Yeah,
this is very informal, so there will be time for you to present all of that information to the public. But I think at this point I want to give you an opportunity, and council wants to give you an opportunity to respond to public comment. Then we'll have to hear from council members, and then we'll have to move on from that.
I really appreciate it. The reason why we didn't put on all these people is that we didn't want to waste everyone's time. If no one had questions about that stuff, it would have taken another hour. So we were trying to be sensitive and just answer questions. So we will try to make sure he doesn't go beyond what the questions asked for. Okay.
Good evening. Chris Richter, R-I-C-H-T-E-R, ABC Young, 1120 Headquarters Plaza, 8th floor, North Tower. I'll be direct, just with specific questions. The location of the driveway, it's on the east side of the driveway, specifically to be as far away from the intersection at Ridgedale as possible. The exhibit in front of you, there's a raised concrete median island that you're all familiar with, where you have one lane traveling westbound and two eastbound. It's sound engineering practice to get your driveway as far away from that intersection as possible, allow vehicles to queue and still have to be able to exit the site. The traffic studies, we all know the road is busy. We do have adequate levels of service during peak hours at our driveway. It is level of service D, which results in about a 34-second queue on our property. You're going to hear a lot more testimony on this, but we've certainly looked at it. One thing to understand is right now there's 4 driveways on the property. We're consolidating into 1, so there's a substantial benefit to the regional road network by going from 4 to 1. But obviously the burden's on us. We'll provide the testimony of the reports to support that this driveway is safe for not only our residents, but for not only the residents in our project, but the residents of town. The second issue on environmental, our firm was responsible for the demolition and environmental cleanup of the property. There was some discussions during self-storage on environmental. Subsequently, we've taken care of the asbestos abatement. We've not only pulled the tanks we knew, we found a bunch of other tanks. We removed a bunch of contaminated soil. And what's left out there right now is very low levels of groundwater contamination, which is going to be addressed through natural attenuation. So the site is suitable for residential development. We would not be here tonight unless we were confident that the site is an appropriate residential development. I don't know if on the site circulation issue. There's a striped area on the exhibit. That is a loading zone for larger vehicles. We've also designed the site to allow your largest fire truck apparatus to come in and provide a K-turn into the site. So the site has been designed to not only for your typical delivery vehicles, but also for your, I forget the name of the truck where you steer in the back. Articulate truck, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
And we've certainly heard everyone on your concerns on architecture. We have worked and will continue to work with the town's planning office in response to your comments, and certainly are open to tweaks that will make the design fit better within the context of the community. So we're going to continue to work on that.
Thank you. Comments and questions from council?
Just a couple of questions, and again, the concept I think is a very good, very strong concept. Thank you. You referred in the beginning, that you were designing the site consistent with a redevelopment plan, and you referenced the 2015 plan. What development plan were you referring to?
It should say 2012.
It's a 2012 plan. Now, in that plan, there's two parcels. The old Verizon parcel and there's the condominium and the home in the shaped like homes. The homes are 2.5 stories, 42 feet, and the Verizon building I think is 3 stories, 35 feet, parcels A and B. And how does that relate to the height of this building?
This building is obviously taller than 2.5 stories. It's 4 stories, 3 stories of parking, 3 stories of residential parking.
So it's a 4-story building.
It's a 4-story building.
And when you say that the coverage is 52%, is that the second floor put on the ground floor? I don't see how you're looking at that, the building there, it's obviously more than 52%.
It's not that. It's deceiving, obviously, but that is 52%, and it is taken at its worst case scenario.
It's taken at the worst case scenario with the
which is
second
ground
story.
level.
Good. Going to just the sidewalks again, just things for you to consider.
Yes.
You know, that is a Tetris area, walking into town, and you mentioned that you had 25% back with a 10-foot sidewalk, correct?
Yes.
And is that 10-foot sidewalk sufficient? Because again, the 10-foot may even be a little narrow there, given the fact that that is such a busy road, and getting a little bit set back more from that road might be beneficial. Just a thought for you when you're designing.
And we did think of that because the sidewalk is 10 feet. Our building is pulled another 15 feet off the property line. So if the town wants it, we could certainly expand the size of the sidewalk.
Something you could explore.
Yes.
Parking, are you doing 1 unit for every apartment? Again, the redevelopment plan 2015, it was 1.2 for a 1-bedroom and a 1.5 for a 2-bedroom. For low and moderate, it was 1.
We do meet that requirement.
You do, and
Yes.
that's the requirement you're satisfied?
Yes.
Well, I think you heard comments about traffic and architecture.
Yes.
We have,
Yep.
nobody has to go there. Right now, I may follow up with some questions.
Councilman Armstrong? No, good?
Well, that's all we have.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you. Thank
presentation.
you very much.
Just come over. Okay. Ms. Zace brought up the point about the landscape plan. When you come back, you might consider coming back also with a detailed landscape plan. It looks green because you've got the roof green space on top of the garage. But from a public standpoint, again, 4-story building, density of the building on the street, what kind of greenery is going to be in the front of the building? And it may actually help with the height of the building also with the greenery in the front of the building.
Understood.
All right, well, thank you for your presentation. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the members of the public for coming out, expressing your concerns and giving the developers your input. Hopefully you guys will take heed before I turn it over to the mayor. You'll take heed to the comments from the public. If this comes back, of course, you'll have the opportunity to present, your whole team. So I wanted to allow the opportunity because we do have members of the public, and so even though it was a little bit out of order, I wanted the public to be heard and their questions to be answered, and so that's why, I allowed it. But at this time, I'd like to turn it over to the mayor for some comments.
Just a couple things. One is the comment that was made on the sidewalk issue, going to make a laneway down basically to the center of town. We're working on a couple areas right now with sidewalks on James, we're working on South Street to provide sidewalk coverage to move to the town. So I've instructed the business administrator with the engineering planner to look at if this moves forward, if we can make this sidewalk, I think it's a good comment, a little larger. What the look is from there, from the corner of 4th through to the train trestle, underneath the train trestle, and up and across. So we'll look at what the pathway looks like, what each sidewalk width is, what sidewalk condition it is, what we can do to improve it to make it a better walkway as we continue to work on our sidewalks as we're going to be down by Burnham and other areas. So that's one of the things we're working on for next year is a lot of sidewalk connection from the township to the town because we're getting requests for connection to there. So we'll take that comment and we'll get our engineering look at it with the planner all the way through from where it starts on Ford down up into Elm Street and then up. And then I think once you hit Elm, you can navigate pretty easily up to the South Street to the green. It makes it a little more difficult going across to the park and then Morris Avenue. That whole area also needs some TLC across from the train station. That's also an area we're looking at. I like the comment Marge talked about, just so the public knows I did not purchase this building. It was purchased before I became mayor. However, it's interesting that it was brought up because it was not something I probably would have done. However, it turned out to be a very large asset for the town in a lot of retrospect. And when you think about building neighborhoods, this is almost 7 acres. And this could be an amazing neighborhood. I see Rebecca Feldman smiling in the back. We talked about this years ago. So there's a lot of potential in Morristown. I want to also, I believe, Frank, is this your first time in front of us?
Yes, it is.
So we want to welcome Frank. I think he did a very good presentation. Welcome your expertise as an architect into our community. It's interesting to get a fresh look, different architecture. I totally get live work. Phil and I talked about this with Daniel Hernandez the first year we were here when I became mayor, that live work is something that is not just this area, but this country is going to grow into. People are going to work more from home. We see the empty corporate offices all over the state. We had a thing in Rutgers not too long ago on what these communities are going to do with all this empty stuff, these corporate centers and office buildings all over the state. If you read an article in Parsippany about Parsippany the other day, they were taking an office complex and looking to build 419 units on Route 10, or 40, was it 10 or 46? Route 10, with a town center, and that's not anything to even walk to. So that's like trying to build Morristown in a highway. So we're very fortunate to what we have here. And it's crucial on how we move forward and build out the town. I must admit, I get the architecture, that it doesn't have to be the same as everything in Morristown. I think that's crucial. I don't think we want to mimic everything. I think you have to have bits and pieces in it, and I think your talent as an architect, you can figure that out. Incorporating the comments about George Washington headquarters and the Skylar Hamilton House and a few things, you can figure that out and architect this to where it's palatable to the community. But I think you're on the right track, and we appreciate everything you're doing here tonight. Welcome to Morristown, welcome to our council and our redevelopment agency in our town.
Just one other thing. When you do come back, if you could, you did a real good job of this when you brought the storage facility. You gave the visuals from the street. But also keep in mind, 44 and 55 Hill look down on this building. So the appearance of the roof and the screening, there's a lot of residential apartments actually looking down directly on this roof.
And these are things we thought of. However, this was an introduction, and we will certainly give you
come
all.
back.
Yes,
Interesting.
understood.
Thank you, Council.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, again, thank you, everyone, for coming out. It'll be, the presentation will be on the website. At this time, there's no